Round one. Fight.
Heroes never die.
I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite store on the Citadel.
I used to be an adventurer like you. Then I took an arrow in the knee.
Power, sex, power. They both come down to one thing.
Hungry gamers.
Hello, and welcome, boys and girls, to the 163rd episode of the Hungry Gamers podcast. We are powered by 8-Bit and those legends at Audio Technica. I'm your extremely humble host, Brendan White. You can find me just about everywhere at Brendan 8-Bit. And on today's episode, we have a menu crammed full of video game and geek culture goodness, covering such topics as Walmart banning violent video games, Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo cracking down on loot boxes, Death Stranding no longer an exclusive, plus lots more. Now, joining me today for episode 163 is the necromancer to my Nightblade. Find him raising the dead or on the socials at Salim TD, Mr. Salim Abraham. How you doing, my man?
Woo! I'm so good, mate. I'm definitely the necromancer to your Nightblade, my friend. Mm-hmm. Definitely. I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing really good. I'm very excited to actually talk some Elder Scrolls with you soon to sort of just get your feelings on it. I know we've had a bit of a controversial episode last week where you were singing the praises of Monster Hunter World only to seek a refund, get said refund, and then purchase Elder Scrolls off the back of my incessant pleading. So I'm happy to see you've taken the plunge, and I want to hear about your time soon. But I'm doing good. We're recording on a Saturday morning. Mm-hmm. Our usual compatriot, Miss Ali Hart, is indisposed today. Some technical related difficulties over there in the US of A. But, we're pouring one out for you, and we'll see you back next week. But, I got a quick question for you, Dream.
Yep.
With Pokemon Sword and Shield's imminent arrival in November, which of the new Gen 8 Pocket Monsters is your favorite? So this is on the back of another sort of release / announcement of a wave of the Gen 8s that will be coming across, battling, catching, so on and so forth. What ones are sort of near and dear to your heart so far?
So I don't care for the Wheezing, the Galarian Wheezing.
Oh, he's great.
He's great. I don't like it. I just think that he looks like every Pokemon game has like a dress up mode where you can put like bows and things on them, and I just feel like that's Wheezing in the dress up mode. He looks silly. He looks ridiculous. He looks
like they're like corporate fat cats of the Pokemon world.
Yeah.
Like they're working the Poke stock market somewhere, these Galarian Wheezings.
He owns a factory of poor coughing who are just slaving away for like 2 pence an hour.
It's interesting on these guys though too. Apparently because the chimney stacks are so big, they've actually got a purification process in the chimney, so the smoke coming out of this Wheezing is actually clean. So go figure.
You just blew my mind. Well, there you go. They're thinking about greenhouse gases and global warming, obviously, at the Pokemon, at Game Freak. Like, those designers are really, really conscientious.
Bless their hearts.
All right, so I like Impidimp, and I didn't even know this was a thing until I started looking at the Gen 8 Pokemon lists. Impidimp looks like he is absolutely munging out.
Yeah, he's a wild boy. He's got his blue tongue hanging out there. He's sort of looking a bit scattered. I don't know what he's up to. Maybe he's like a little clubber Pokemon.
He looks like the photo I'm looking at. He's like got his hands out, like ready to rock and roll. Like he's got cops. He's against the wall. The cops are ahead of him, and he's like, "Shit, what do I do, man? Where do I go?" I like
he's a bit skittish.
Yeah, he seems very skittish. So I like Impidimp. I want to party with Impidimp. How about you, man?
I'm gonna sort of double down with Alcremie, I think. Who doesn't want a Pokemon made of literal whipped cream with actual strawberry ears? Like, this seems so impractical. And you think of going through these warmer regions, like, we all know dairy when it gets hot, it can get pretty smelly and pretty unusable. So I'm curious to see how Alcremie deals during the daylight hours. Like, is she or he an impedance on you because of the smell, and can't attack as good? But I think it's really cute that it gets sweeter the happier it is. So Alcremie.
You would eat it, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
it's like a Sunday ready to go. Yeah.
Would it eat itself too? Like, it wouldn't need the berries anymore. It just sort of takes a little bit of cream off the top and sucks it down.
I don't know. We'll find out when these games drop in November.
Yeah, pokey food battles, pokey food comas even. I also like, and I think we were both in agreement on this one, just because it just looks so badass, is Corviknight.
Yeah.
The sort of almost mechanical, really gothic Raven.
Yeah.
I think the flying steel type, he looks gangster as well. The dashing lord of the skies, apparently.
So Corviknight is actually the taxi service in these games now, which I feel like it makes him a little less cooler, but
yeah,
still, I'll definitely catch one of these bad boys and send him into battle.
Gothic taxi.
It looks fantastic. Yeah.
Is there anyone else you want to bring some light on before we keep moving and shaking?
Well, I mean, just really quickly, like the Gigantamax forms of some of these guys are pretty baller. Like Gigantamax Dreadnought just looks ridiculous.
Dreadnought's gangster. It's like a turtle hybrid, sort of snapping turtle vibe with sort of some mechanics in him. Iron and rock is what he's made of. So yeah, he'll be pretty cool.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because he's a water rock type. So
grass.
typically rock's got a lot of weakness to water in the other sort of games. So he's hybridized and ready to kick some ass.
That's it. Yeah. Now, other than that, mate, the rest of them can go get stuffed.
Yeah, especially like Roly Coley, who's just like a piece of coal with an eye. Like some of the designs, the designers just sort of mail it in on a few of them. They put a lot of time into a few, and then they're like, yeah, what about a piece of coal with an orange eye? Like, yeah, okay, righto.
Yeah.
It's like Armless Geodude, and also Obstagoon, the fifth member of KISS. I think he is brilliant looking too.
I like Obstagoon. I do like Obstagoon. He looks definitely badass.
Yeah. But we don't have to wait too long. Couple more months until Sword and Shield hit the Switch. So I'm excited.
Are you deciding on which one you're going to get yet? Like, have you decided if it's going to be Sword or Shield?
I think I'm going to go Sword. Who doesn't want a legendary dog that holds a sword in its mouth? Like, it seems so impractical, but I am on that train.
Does it at all persuade you which Pokemon you have access to? So if you find out, like, Dreadnought is only in Shield, would you get Shield?
I might pivot because I've got a bit of a soft spot for Dreadnought, so we'll see closer because I don't know if they've broken down the exclusives because it's usually, 15 to 20, right? Typically, it's 15 or 20 you can get on one version, not the other, and vice versa.
It depends. It depends on how many new... Oh, yeah, you're right. It doesn't matter how many new there are because they'll still use existing Pokemon and split those up by exclusives in games. I don't know, mate. I guess we'll find out. I didn't even know how many new Gen 8 Pokemon there will be in total.
I'm assuming there's going to be at least 100.
No, Gen 6 had something like 50.
Oh, slacking.
Yeah, it was pretty rough. That was a hard year for Pokemon.
It was, but I'm very excited to play with a Pokemon made of whipped cream and strawberries, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Like, it just seems so impractical, but maybe it's a little badass on the battlefield. So Dreamo, let's move into one very important topic of discussion today. Elder Scrolls Online, you have taken the plunge and you are now roaming through Elsewhere.
I am.
Tell me what you're feeling about it so far.
Well, I feel somewhat vindicated, first of all, in my decision to refund Monster Hunter World to buy this. Monster Hunter World shouldn't have cost me $85, but it did. And I managed to get a refund. They were pretty cool. It was my first refund experience with Steam. It was all pretty cruisy. Got the money back within about 48 hours. Cool. It's all I can really say.
Nice work, Valve.
Yeah, good work, Valve. Elder Scrolls Online. So I decided to go with the Necromancer class because I'll tell you what, though, I couldn't really decide on a class. That was a bit of a challenge because they all just kind of nothing really got me.
Nothing was standing out to you?
No, nothing. And I know that kind of sounds weird. I felt like the Dragon Knight class was like a little bit generic. I'd just come out of playing tank in WoW. I didn't want to play a tank. I understand that the classes can all sort of do every role. It's just some do certain roles better than others. But I didn't want to play a tank.
What were you leaning towards? So Necromancer is what you settled on, but was there another one or two you were sort of given a lot of consideration towards?
Necromancer was probably the one I was leaning towards the most. And then Warden, possibly. But
I was thinking of Warden too.
Yeah.
But you've played a lot of Hunter.
I have,
WoW,
I've played a lot of Hunter. But I do like they've got like a lot of frost abilities. That's kind of cool. That sort of sets them out a little bit. But I was watching a game play video of a necromancer, a person just sort of talking through the class. And necromancers are really proficient damage dealers, but also healers. And I thought that's kind of cool. It's a weird take on a sort of necromancer like idea that it can be a healer as well as a DPS class. So I thought, yeah, fuck it. And also they're the bad guys. And also I think the thing that really sold me on it is that using necromancer abilities in town is considered a crime.
Yep.
And you can get in trouble for it. I thought, well, this is me. I can have a lot of fun being an absolute dickhead with this class. I'm going to pick it. I feel quite happy with the choice. I'm level 11 right now. I'm still rolling around elsewhere, just sort of saving the Khajiit race. They need me. They rely on me. I'm a hero to these cat people, and they treat me as such.
I love the size differences between some of the Khajiit you meet.
Oh,
you meet one, like, I can't remember one of sort of the main dudes in that story quest. Like, he's sort of like a really fair fawn-colored Khajiit with, like, he looks like a lion, but he's like fucking 9 foot tall, this one. And then you'll see these other ones practicing that are like 3'5".
Yeah. My guy's a dark elf. I think they're typically average height compared to everything else, right? They're not unusually taller or shorter than anyone. I think the wood elves are a little shorter.
Yeah, they're the little babies.
Yeah, but the dark elves are kind of average height. And I'll be on the character menu just like, you know, I don't know, doing something in my inventory. And then I'll just see this huge figure just walk by. This huge Khajiit figure. It's just like, what the fuck? Like, my guy is max height for my race.
For your race, yeah.
So I also doubled down. I got ESO Plus.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's a smart way to do it because the crowns you get month on month give you a lot of access to cosmetics and potions and everything else. So
yeah, well, I really only got it. I've only got it for a month, and I got it for the 10% experience boost. That's why I got it. You get a 10% experience and gold boost, and you also get a negative 10% time on your crafting proficiencies or whatever. So it's like takes less time. That costs like $15. That's pretty good. Like, WoW to play costs $15. This is free, but you do this and you get a bit of a added perk. I've got a horse now that I hit level 10. That's pretty exciting. I've got a skill. I've got an undead skeleton that rushes out of the ground and rushes towards people and blows up. That's my favorite pet. Is this like a kamikaze
skeleton.
Kamikaze Paul Walker skeleton that just rushes straight at things
wow.
and blows up. Pretty rough. Too much?
Nah, that's on brand. That's on brand. A loose sort of factoid here. I just pre-ordered the Blu-ray edition of Tammy and the T-Rex, which is a 90s gem starring Denise Richards and Paul Walker. And Paul Walker dies in this film, like their high school love interest. He dies. Tammy, Denise Richards, befriends some local scientists. They take Paul Walker's brain and put it into a T-Rex.
What the fuck?
He's a real life-size T-Rex that still loves Tammy, but then eats people and stuff. It is the most bananas, stupid movie. But my Blu-ray copy should hopefully be here in a couple of weeks.
I love that. I love that.
Tammy and the T-Rex. Give it a look.
Tammy and the
B-grade
T-Rex.
trash.
I'm going to look that up later.
Yeah, you got to see the trailer. Like, it's so bad, it's bad, but it's good.
Tammy and the T-Rex. So, what else? Necromancer's fun. It's cool. I like that you can morph abilities. I like just generally exploring in elsewhere as well. I've played WoW like a ton. I've played this year Path of Exile. And I think I even went back to the well on Final Fantasy XIV in a moment of weakness. And the thing I enjoy about ESO is that there's everything, every nook and cranny, you just feel like you want to check because you're not sure what's where. And that's really fun. Whereas in WoW, you know specifically that you'll only ever really get loot from dead bodies or from the occasional chest or whatever mining or crafting thing there is around, like whatever herb or deposit there is. And in Path of Exile it's the same, and in Final Fantasy it's the same. But in this it's like there's just shit splayed about everywhere of random value. Whatever it is, it could be fantastic crafting recipe or it could be fucking, I don't know, this dead cockroaches like husk for fishing bait or whatever.
Yeah.
But you don't know, and it feels rewarding to search everything in a dungeon or in someone's house. It feels fun to steal things from people.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. It's a good game, and I also like that it's sort of actiony. Like it's not just smashing spells on rotation. Trying to get the rotation perfect. It's sort of you rushing around trying to dodge things because that actually matters. Breaking out of being bound, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. It melds that MMO with that traditional RPG flavor of Elder Scrolls and Skyrim really well together, I think, where they can bring those two worlds into the one and give you both experiences.
This was not my initial experience with ESO, though.
Yeah, but you got in really, really early, didn't you? I think you were sort of close to day one. Did you start on PC as well when it first dropped?
Yeah, I did. I did. Oh, yeah, I did. No, yeah. It was. And then I got Morrowind on Xbox because my housemate did as well, and then we just never played it. But now, yeah, I like this. Like, I'm really enjoying this. You've talked about it till death, but what's your experience with this so far? You're level 28 now.
Yeah, I'm close to 30. I haven't pretty much played anything this week, so I'm sort of just living through you and sharing Elder Scrolls Online thoughts at the moment. But I'm really enjoying it. As you said, it's nice and cruisy. It's sort of like a casual MMO to a degree if you want it to be. Like there is instances and raids and things that you can do when you're sort of at those adequate levels. But if you want to just cruise around the various locations and roll into a couple of random dungeons and attack various animals and enemies out in the real world or the world in Elder Scrolls Online, you can sort of go at your own pace, which I like. You can muck around and just farm enemies. You can, as I told you all last week, you can buy a house and kit it out. You can level up your proficiencies. It's pretty nice. I
cannot wait to see this house. And you know what I spent too much time doing this week was trying to do the math on the house. Try to work out where you live based on what you said you paid, how many crowns you could have got for that, and what's available at that range. And the thing that threw out my formula was that you had to kit it out with furniture as well. So you could have got like a cheap house and just given it like fucking A1 furniture or vice versa. Yep. And I just would never zero in. So anyway, I still can't believe you did that.
Yeah, next time I log on, I can sort of whisper you access to the house so you can view it anytime, even when I'm not there.
Oh, really?
So you can go check it out when I'm not online. So you can go check out the crib. Yeah,
do that,
which is pretty cool.
Please.
Yeah.
And I'll,
I'm not going to give you editing rights just yet because I'll come in and everything's going to be outside on the front porch or something. But you'll be able to go through and see the place and see the doggos and everything.
I'll just be waiting in there in my underwear.
Yeah, just on the bed upstairs near the fireplace.
That's it.
I've got a big sauna / bath up there in the master bedroom. It's pretty gangster, but. Sort of going back to the game itself, I really enjoy it because you can just do whatever you like. I like that it is accessible for people that are new to MMOs. The ability to carry two different weapons in, so you've got your front bar and your back bar, so you can have a bow on your back if you need to do ranged attacks, and then you can have sword shield or dual blades or whatever for frontal assaults as well, so you can sort of jump between styles on the fly, which I really like. Especially playing as a little Nightblade, I can sort of, shoot some arrows from the shadows. Then when I need to sort of skulk in and try and do some massive amounts of burst damage, I can do that as well. But I like, as you sort of touched on right near the start of this discussion, is each class can be self-sustaining in all the roles. Like it can be DPS, it can heal, it can play as a tank. So you can do whatever you want to do. Obviously, some lend themselves to those play styles more than others, but you can be a Nightblade that heals if you want, or you can be a Necromancer that tanks and so on and so forth. So I think that's really great that they've sort of thought out how these characters can all play and synergize together. So you're not going to be capped to have, okay, I'm a Dragon Knight, I have to play the tank. I'm a Sorcerer, I have to be the healer sort of thing. You can mix and match. Yeah,
I do agree. I do agree because it just makes it easier and more accessible for casual players. Yeah. If you're just trying to be best in realm, then you're never really going to play healer Necro. You'll play whatever that other class is. That's Templar. Is it Templar that are like the best healers?
Yeah, Templars are pretty well the best.
Yeah, so but you're always going to go for the optimal build for whatever role you're trying to fill within anything. But like this is super accessible to casual players. I mean, we're both early on. We'll see what the challenges are like when you're in the late game to swap between roles, because if that's difficult to sort of respec, then obviously that's kind of lesser.
It's not too bad. Like on the Xbox, I've got a Dragon Knight that I've got her built as a tank / DPS, and she's got good sustainability as a tank, and also can dish out a good amount of DPS. And she was I think she was veteran rank 6, so that's about level 360 if you translate it. So she's pretty high up there. And she got me through a lot of raids and a lot of dungeons as sort of as that lead tank.
This game's really fucked my week up. I had so much uni work to get through. And I just keep coming back to it. It's actually not great. I'll probably be talking about this game for a little while to come. I'll try and do it in bits and pieces and not just drag it on. But a game that I've got in the chamber ready to go is The Church in the Darkness.
I'm so excited for this because anyone that hasn't listened to episode 162.5, you're doing your ears and your heart a disservice. Pause this episode right now. Go back and listen to that, because that is when The Church in the Darkness was first discovered by the Dream.
First discovered.
And he plays the trailer over the episode and commentates it in real time. And I was pissing myself laughing through the majority of this episode. So go give it a listen. But Dream, the floor is now yours again.
Well, I haven't played this game yet. It's ready to rock and roll. This game the trailer sold me so quickly. You're basically you're just a random character person who goes into this cult to find your nephew who's joined it. And the cult is pretty crazy. It's set in the 70s, and it's got a real Jim Jones vibe to it. Us against the world. We can either go and burn in hell with the rest of the people here, or we can be saved. And we can be saved if we drink the Kool-Aid, or whatever the hell it might be. But long story short, you make decisions in this game to either further the cult's ambitions or tear the cult apart. And I am, spoiler alert, I'm going to be furthering this cult's ambitions. I cannot wait to play this fucking game. So I'll be talking about this quite a bit next time I appear on the Hungry Gamers. But if you haven't seen this game, it actually only dropped on the 2nd of August. It's 20 Australian doll hairs on Steam right now. So
I'm looking at it right now.
All a bad investment. I would highly recommend getting it without playing it. I just think it's a cool game. It just sounds cool. In the trailer, they've got someone's tied to a post and the other cultists are stoning them to death. It's cool.
I like, it's got sort of that Diablo isometric sort of camera angle to it. Obviously, it's not thematically and stylistically the same as Diablo, but that's sort of from a graphical and user interface perspective. You've sort of got that pseudo bird's eye view on the commune and your characters, but it looks interesting, that's for sure. And for just a little over $20, 72% is positive reviews so far on Steam, so that's nothing to frown about either.
Not bad. Developed by Paranoid Productions, published by Fellow Traveller. I'm really looking forward to this one. Any opportunity to be a villain, I think, Brendan.
I know that's your wheelhouse.
That's what really gets me out of bed in the morning. You got anything on the horizon, game-wise?
A bit more Elder Scrolls. I want to try and finish Ultimate Alliance 3 as well, but outside of that, nothing immediately comes to mind. I can't even remember what's the next big release that's coming out.
Shit, I do know. There's something big coming. Let me look this up. There's
one game I'm waiting on that I've been talking to Laopi Games about directly, called Devil's Hunt, and it looks almost like a carbon copy of Devil May Cry It's coming out on PC first. It's made by a small studio over in Europe. So that's one that I want to try and get my hands on over the next couple of weeks. I think the game is launching on Steam first in the middle of September, but I'm hoping to get an early copy of it in the next fortnight so I can get in amongst that and see if it actually does translate at all. Because it's got that Devil May Cry art style, that Devil May Cry combat style. You play this character that's trying to fight his way out of hell. So
that's cool.
We'll see how that goes. It is done on a budget, but it looks interesting. So that's all I know that I've got coming up in the near future.
So there are two things coming up that you'll absolutely love. First of all, Blair Witch, that drops on August 30, and the second one is Dark Pictures Man of Medan, that drops also on August 30.
Yes. Yeah. So they're thank you for reminding me of both of those. Man of Medan definitely has got my eyes and ears and everything looking front and center to get a copy of that and smash the bejesus out of it. Supermassive Games, love everything they do. And that Blair Witch game actually looked pretty damn interesting. Obviously, it was only announced at E3, but it's cool that it's coming out 2.5 months after the initial announcement. So, yeah, give those a go at the end of this month.
I saw Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah, I have not seen it yet. So tell me, what did you think?
It's okay. It's all right.
Okay.
I was pretty blasted when I saw it. I was very
Did it make
drunk
the
when
action
I saw
even
it, actually.
actioner?
Don't remember. I remember it. I remember the film quite well. It's actually firmly in the science fiction universe now, like in that genre now. Like Idris Elba's character is a cyborg. So I just don't understand how this is a franchise that started with Vin Diesel and Paul Walker having barbecues in the backyard. Paul Walker was an FBI agent trying to uncover Vin Diesel's like ring of truck hijackers stealing combo DVD VCR players. Like that's where this started. And now Hobbs and Shaw are rolling around fighting a cyborg named Idris Elba.
You wait, they're going to weave it in that those DVD VCR players were actually like military tech. And they've melted all that down to make Idris Elba or something.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, there'll be something like that where it's like, it was just inside the box of a combo VCR DVD player, but inside was high-end military equipment, national security secrets, and the only people that can stop the bad guys are Vin Diesel's like merry crew of car driving fucking people. It's a good good Fast and Furious film. Idris Elba's cool.
He is just cool in everything, isn't he? I love him. I love him so much.
And just to throw it out there, I am watching The Lion King again today.
Oh no.
Yeah, I know. My sister told me her and she's taking my nieces and nephews to go and see it and invited me, and I just want to see him. So I thought, well, fuck it, I can suck it up for another 2 hours and 10 minutes.
Sucker for punishment.
I've seen this film twice after today, and I saw the Detective Pikachu film twice. Those are the only films this year I've seen twice in the cinema.
And I know you didn't have many high opinions of Detective Pikachu, so let's see
I fucking hated
on your second viewing of The Lion King if you're still, because you're sort of middle of the pack with it right now. You're sort of like, meh, it's not the worst, it's not the best.
Yes. I don't hate it like vehemently. I really don't love it, but I think it's a great kids movie, and actually that'll be the test, won't it? Taking my nieces and nephews, that'll be the test.
Yeah, you might find some more joy in it, seeing how happy they are watching this.
Yeah, that'll bring me endless joy. I like seeing them just, I don't know. Let's not go there. But yeah, I'll let you know. I don't know. It's not going to be great. I'll try not to spoil things for them. But like when Mufasa dies, I don't know if they know about Mufasa's death as a point in the film. So that'll be interesting. I want to see if that gets them.
Yeah.
The same way it got me many moons ago.
Perhaps.
Could do.
You know what else could get you many moons ago?
Tell me, baby.
Episode 2 of the Comedy Rewind podcast, hosted by John O'Peck, starring Benny McJanet and myself, where we unpack the 1994 gem Dumb and Dumber. It is available on all podcast hosting platforms. So do yourselves a favor and give this episode a spin because it was great. I listened to it back during the week, and I hate listening to myself on podcasts, but I genuinely was laughing listening to this back because the movie just has such a sort of resonance with me. Like, I love Dumb and Dumber so much.
I listened to it as well. Can I say, you mentioned last week the story about Jeff Daniels, what he got paid. Mm-hmm. I found it interesting the way Jim Carrey went about increasing his pay for this movie. I like that story. Not to ruin it, but just that, and that's quite early on, I think, anyway. But like, that is a ridiculous move. And like, wasn't it all just falling in line for him that year? Yeah. He was just off the back of what film? Like, he just had a huge
Ace
success.
Ventura, and then Dumb and Dumber, and then The Mask, I think, was the order they came out, all in 94. And yeah, after Ace Ventura, he went, that's 700,000. Let's convert that to 7 million, you sons of bitches. Like, took over half the budget, or just under half the budget of the entire film.
Well, it worked.
Yeah.
We're still talking about it 20 years later.
Yeah, but that episode is available for consumption, as well as by the time this episode drops on the podcast hosting platforms, the latest episode of the 8-Bit Cast will be available to listen to as well. And it's something a little bit different. We've actually got the Inconsolables doing a bit of a trivia shootout with Good Pop, Bad Pop, another fantastic podcast from Australia, and it is helmed by Sammy Deej. So get ready to chuck that in your ears. But yeah, patreon.com/We're8Bit if you wanted to support us monetarily. But if not, be sure to just rate, review, subscribe our podcast and the rest of the podcast in the #8Bit Collective, because they help keep the emotional lights on in our hearts. And the last bit of news last bit of housekeeping, I wanted to bring to the show today. 8-Bit's very own Eldar Basic has released his first novel. Echoes of the Holograph is a series of 7 interwoven science fiction stories, and it is available to purchase on Amazon.com right now. You can get the physical print like I've got right here, or you can also get it via Kindle for about $10 US. So do yourselves a favor, get some more education into your mindset via the way of reading some books. Echoes of the Holograph, available right now on Amazon, Kindle, or physical print. I know it'll mean an awful lot to Eldar. But let's get on to some news.
This week's news headlines.
Okay. A couple little bite-sized bangers before we jump into the main course here. Destiny 2 Cross Save is officially going live on August 21st, 2019. Very exciting times for anyone that is playing on PC, Xbox, PlayStation 4. You can port your character from platform to platform. Obviously, if you have the additional paid expansions, you need to buy them on said platform. But you can now jump on any of these platforms and play with your mates. Exciting times. And obviously, this is also coinciding with the port to Steam from Battle.net. So good times, big times for Bungie there. Is this something that's going to potentially get you back involved with Destiny 2 with the new expansion that comes out on August 21st as well? Or are you sort of like, nah, I'm an Elder Scrolls guy now?
I'll see how much Elder Scrolls steals from my life this year. And then if I've still got some free time left over, yeah, maybe. But I did like Destiny 2 a lot as well. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe.
It's good fun. It's one of the best shooters out there, bar none.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I'd agree with that.
Yeah. The next little bite-sized bit of news here. DayZ, or DayZ, depending on where you're from, has been refused classification in Australia due to the use of cannabis being related to incentives or rewards. So, Australia ain't going to be playing that weed game here. You know, you put the drugs in and you use them for a buff. Your game ain't going to be hitting the shores here in the AU. So, more classification head scratches. So,
what do you think about that?
I think it's dumb. It's so dumb. It's like, okay, you can't take, a puff of a joint, or I don't know if they're using bongs. I haven't really played DayZ, but you can't consume cannabis, but you can shoot a guy in the head, shoot his dead body, cut their limbs off, run over people in cars in other games. It's just tone deaf. I think these classification thought processes they have.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I'll agree with that. I was a bit more on the fence a moment ago, but yeah, you're right. There are missions that incentivize you to murder. So why would you put that below this in terms of importance?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, you're right. I'm with you now.
Yeah, it's just very
Fuck
strange.
you, Classification Board of Australia.
Yeah, making boneheaded decisions since your inception.
Yeah.
And the last little bite-sized bit of news, the ESA E3 media leaks have extended beyond just 2019.
Yeah.
Now also including 2018 and 2017, where yours truly was there. So whoever's got my details, please delete them immediately and leave me alone. I do not want to be accosted by you random internet people.
Shit. Yeah, you're right. This is getting worse and worse and worse, isn't it? It's it's so big a problem that it's hard to actually understand the repercussions in full. But like, let's play a little game here. Maybe a bit of a confronting one for two lads, but let's have a bit of fun here, mate. You and I, at one point or another in our lives, we've both been single. And we both know of a certain person, I don't know, like random, but we're like, do you remember that girl, blah, 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 blah? And you're like, oh yeah, like Sarah, and you pull out Facebook and you try and find them. And then you manage to find them off their given name alone. Think of all the crazy shit, all of the crazy boys out there are going to be able to do with given name, surname, date of birth, address, email address. It's a bit much. And
it's terrifying.
It even reminds me of Felicia Day's like crazy Gamergate stories of how her like address would be posted up places on like public forums and shit, and people would send her death threats. It would just be nuts. So it's not great.
It's terrifying, man. It really is. Like I don't consider myself any different than the next person, but you know, everyone prides themselves on a sense of privacy or a safe space. And whether you're a content creator in the games media, you're big, small, or in between, having that safe space taken away through no fault of your own. You know, you followed the guidelines to get a media pass to cover a games event, and then said company just fucks up their back end and just gives all that data out unknowingly. That's scary shit, man.
I was thinking about a lot about the process of actually getting the data on the website in the first place. There's like a testing process that goes in, like a testing phase before you make any changes to your public website to make sure that you're happy with those changes.
Yeah.
And all of this would have been checked by more than one person.
Yeah, where's the
That's
QC
the
on
point.
this? Like who signed off on that? Like their heads rolling. Whoever
On the test
was,
cases. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's bonkers.
Yeah, it's crazy. But it's also like, I wonder if it's criminal. You know, like it's gross negligence is what it is.
Yeah.
Just putting my little QC hat on for a moment. Gross negligence, I believe, is what we would call it in the legal game. I don't know of any horror stories yet, though.
Like I know this is to the far extreme end of this, but if someone is violently attacked based off their address being leaked, like are they then up for manslaughter charges or seen as an accessory to this because their actions indirectly affected that happening? Like obviously it's all hearsay right now, but
there'll be a story out of this somewhere. Like there'll be some unfortunate events somewhere. Fingers crossed, hopefully not. But you know, there's just so many people. It's so many people's details. It's fucking nuts.
Yeah, everybody is affected. But moving into the two larger bits of news that we wanted to cover on today's episode. And the first headline, Walmart halts most game sales following mass shootings. This comes via way of Matt Kim and IGN. And full disclosure, this news headline literally dropped about 20 minutes before we started recording. This sort of leads on to an article I had prepared for this and have since changed it. But the article reads, Walmart's removal of any references to violent video games and media from stores appears to have extended to the actual selling of video games as well. On Thursday, reports came out that Walmart sent out internal communications to stores asking them to pull down ads, signage, and even demos for violent video games following the mass shooting at a Walmart superstore in El Paso, Texas on August 3rd. A day later, Twitter user Eric Tyler Loudon tweeted out that their Walmart isn't even selling games. IGN reached out to Walmart for confirmation and received the following response from Lamia Jenkins, the Director of National Media Relations at Walmart. We've taken this action out of respect for the incidents of the last week, and it does not reflect a long-term change in our video game assortment. We are focused on assisting our associates and their families, as well as supporting the community as we continue a thoughtful and thorough review of our policies. Jenkins added, our statement stands company-wide. The only games left for sale are sports titles like FIFA 19, NBA 2K19, and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Walmart is still selling games online, and there appears to be an option to do in-store pickups for game orders. IGN has not been able to confirm whether the in-store pickup option is actually viable in stores. It appears, however, that Walmart is reviewing its entire video game sales policies, which has led to a temporary cease in video game sales from store location. Despite no scientific link between games and violence, Walmart's sales decisions effectively link the ongoing debate about mass shootings with guns. So, this is insane. Like, fair enough taking down all the signage and the advertisements for extremely violent games like Fortnite, and now restricting game sales, yet Walmart are still selling fucking actual firearms in their stores. So it's fine to be selling real guns and real ammo, but showing games that simulate those acts is the bad? Like, what's going on here, Dream?
I don't know, man. It's fucking America. They're crazy over there. Look, I don't hate this that much. I actually, my knee-jerk sort of reaction here is who cares? Not who cares, sorry, but just like I don't take a hard stand against why the video games blah blah. Like, sure, take the video games down. I think about our experience here when we go to somewhere like Kmart or Target. You don't see those games there either. They're not there. It's family-oriented games only for the most part. And in fact, I think it's only in Kmart. I don't think Target sell video games anymore, period. But
Big W sell them as well. And they've got some violent ones. Like
they do have a couple, but
yeah.
I know Kmart doesn't. And that's fine. I don't have an issue with them restricting the number of games. Yes, I think it's very blind and tone deaf and hypocritical to continue to sell firearms the way they do. But I am also not, I don't have a horse in this race either. There's a huge debate in America. It's not over here. It's got nothing to do with us, really. Like, we don't have this cultural issue.
No.
I don't have to fucking walk down the street, hear a car backfire, and wonder if someone's firing rounds into a crowd. There was footage that came out last week of a motorbike backfiring in New York and people sprinting in all different directions, fearful that there's someone shooting a weapon. Like, it's a different kind of fear that I just don't know and I don't understand. And I feel for everyone in America who has to kind of deal with this at the moment. And to me, there's a real quick common sense decision that they could make that would just solve this whole problem quick and fast. But apparently there's a real strong group there called the NRA who just won't let anyone take their guns away. So that's their problem to sort out. I don't give a fuck about how it impacts video games either. I think that that's all just hot air for the most part. Although I have grown over time a little bit more empathetic to the argument that violent video games can potentially influence people in certain ways. It's not to say that I think violent video games create mass shooters. It's just that I think that you can't sit there and play 12 hours of games in a day and that not fuck with your brain somehow on some level. So anyway, that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah, I get you. I get what you're saying. Like, I think the thing that irks me the most is off the back of these continuous tragedies. Like, I saw when Trump did his little presser after the El Paso shooting, and his sort of driving factors were, this is to do with mental health and video games. Like, there's common threads between the two that create these potential shooters, and that's where the drama lies. It's got not like, they just sweep the fact that just about any Tom, Dick, and Harry can buy a gun and have one within 24 hours, irrespective of history. The fact there's no background checks, there's no fucking mental health tests that they have to do. It's just you roll in, here's my ID, Mr. Walmart. I'd like to buy that assault rifle and that pistol. I get change out of $1,000 for both of those things, and away we go. And it's, it is sort of off track from what we're talking about here with video games and, what we're usually doing here on the Hungry Gamers, but it's just coming from the country. Like, anyone that's listened to this episode of this show a few times would know that I grew up around firearms. I grew up around video games, and yes, there is sort of a certain cocktail, I think, that creates some of these things. Like, yeah, people are all wired differently, so they'll take those messages in those games literally and try and instill that into their day-to-day or whatever it might be. But for the vast majority of us, we just take that game as what it is. Like, it's a piece of interactive art, just like a movie, just like a TV show, and we respect it and appreciate it for what it is, and that's it. But you do get a couple of these bad eggs that use them as a crutch or as a scapegoat or as a stepping stone into this violent world in the real life. And
yeah,
I don't know, it's tough. I just hate seeing this industry that we love so much getting tarred with this brush, that getting thrown under the bus. Like, you know, all these violent films and television shows and everything else, they get no mention. The fact that the news every day, like, you turn on the National 9 News at, 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, and they show actual footage of people getting hit by cars, getting shot, whatever it might be. And like, yeah, that's fair game, but seeing it in a video game, it's bad, and it can lead to all these other sort of terrible effects that flow on. But I don't know, man. I don't know.
It doesn't bother me. Like, I actually don't give a shit that anyone's using games as a scapegoat, because I feel like you and I are sitting from outside, right, looking in. And I feel like for anyone else who's sitting on our side, looking in at America and what's going on there, it's fucking blatantly obvious. Like, no one's actually sitting here thinking it's video games. Like, we know that when we hear someone like the president or, NRA lobbyists or fucking Republicans get up and say that it's violent video games, like, we know, yeah, okay, but also how much money did you just get paid by the NRA? Like, we know exactly what's going on. For everyone outside looking in, America is a fucking shit show of a country and needs to sort out this gun thing. Just on the gun thing. But from anyone who actually buys into that, I don't want you playing video games. You don't have to play video games. That's cool, man. If you believe that they're violent and that they cause these problems, I don't want you enjoying the same things I enjoy. Get the fuck away from it. That's cool. You can say what you want about it. I'm going to fucking keep doing my thing.
Fair cool. I like that. I think that's probably a good way to park that story and move on to the last one, which covers a topic I know you're very passionate about, Dreamo.
Oh,
Microsoft, Sony,
up here, mate.
and Nintendo won't allow loot boxes on consoles unless publishers disclose drop rates. This comes via way of Matt Wales at Eurogamer.
You're just hitting me with like two of the most incendiary topics back to back.
Yeah, it is a hot box here today. Like, it is controversy corner here on the Hunger Gamers.
All right, I'll calm down on this one.
The new measures were initially announced this past week by the Entertainment Software Association's Chief Counsel of Tech Policy, Michael Weinecke, during a Federal Trade Commission workshop intended to examine consumer protection issues related to video game loot boxes. Since then, the ESA, which represents the video games industry in the US, has released a full statement on the matter, confirming that Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony will, in quotes, require paid loot boxes in games developed for their platforms to disclose information on the relative rarity or probability of obtaining randomized virtual items, end quote. Additionally, the new measures, which are expected to be implemented next year, will apply to all games that add loot boxes in a post-launch update. According to the ESA, a number of publishers have all agreed to disclose these numbers, and this will occur no later than the end of 2020. Following the ESA's announcement, both Sony and Nintendo have released their own respective statements on the decision, which you can find online. Dreamo, I know you are one of the biggest advocates for loot boxes, loot crates, microtransactions, all being the devil.
I love them. Oh, the devil? Yeah, they are.
This is a positive step in the right direction.
It is, yeah. I think so, and it's probably them taking the lead of other countries who have already sort of forced publishers to supply this information and make it readily available. Yeah, I think this is good. It's good. It gives people all the information. Unless you really go out of your way, it's hard to really ascertain what the drop rates are for a lot of loot crates and a lot of different games. And often it's kind of secondhand information that you're getting from other players, as opposed to like based on their experiences as well and how much coin they've dropped, as opposed to
I got a legendary every 10 crates or whatever type of thing.
Yeah,
which is just
on
there's
average,
no
like
real
one
skin
every
in that
40.
game. There's no real number to base that off.
No, and like the more the more devious aspect of this is always the duplicates that you get. So my biggest frustration when I used to put money into Hearthstone was getting the same legendary twice. And I always felt that was just a little bit off. And some games handle that better than others. Like Magic handled it fantastically, where you basically get a token for a legendary of your selection if you were to get a duplicate. So that's fantastic.
That's brilliant. That is
great.
brilliant. I never knew that, but that's the way to do it.
That is the way to do it. It makes it so much more achievable to get the cards that you need to play the game that you want. In a game where you can't actually buy the card, you have to buy enough cards to turn them into dust to then craft a card, but you're basically spending like 4 legendaries to get 1 legend. It's bullshit.
Yeah.
So at least this is good. I'm absolutely in favor of this. Loot boxes have been off the radar for a little while, haven't they? Mm-hmm. Now that I think about it.
They've been hiding out in the wilderness, and now they've made a return. Like, I wonder, sort of playing devil's advocate, when you boot up a game. Let's say it's Apex Legends or whatever, and it pops up and it shows underneath it 2% chance of rolling an epic or whatever it might be. I wonder if that's going to deter people. Like, I wonder if we're going to see a bit of a drop in loot crate or loot box sales. Like, I know it's probably optimistic to think we might, but that might turn some people off where they see that low odds number right there, bolded, or probably it's going to be really fucking fine print, isn't it? In the bottom corner that you squint to read it. But maybe that'll make people a little bit hesitant to throw some cash on some loot boxes.
I don't know. I think you and I both know that if we walked into a pokey room tomorrow, that there'd be some $20 notes getting pulled out of wallets.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And
Max
we know,
bets, baby.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I think so. I think there's still a bit of work here on loot boxes in general. Like, I think that it's moving away from being predatory, which is good, which is definitely a good thing. And I think the more it moves towards a sort of transparent model where, because it is gambling, at the moment it's gambling, because if your intention is to chase a specific skin or rewards for a specific character and you're not getting them and you just keep loading up on loot boxes with no idea of when or how many will hit, then you're absolutely gambling with your money. So I think anything we can do to sort of move away from that is a good thing. And I think there's room for loot boxes in the world going forward. I think that they're here to stay. They're just so lucrative, but we can be a little bit less malicious in the approach with which we're putting them out there. So anyway, I think, follow MTG's design. I'd be interested to see what else they could do to make it fairer, but yeah. Good move, Microsoft. Good move, Sony. Good move, Nintendo.
Yeah, it's good to see. And I sort of found it a little bit ironic that the ESA was one releasing full statements on the matter. Like, outside of them probably trying to distance themselves from the whole drama with the database.
They're trying to control the story.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing here.
Good bloking themselves here.
We skipped over one. We skipped over Death Stranding not being an exclusive.
Yes.
Just to throw that out there.
Yeah, so that's Death Stranding has been removed. It's not listed as a PlayStation 4 exclusive on the official PlayStation Store. That could mean a whole host of things. That could mean it's also going to be released on the PlayStation 5 at the same time. So that would mean it's no longer a PlayStation 4 exclusive. But rumor mill is that it could make its way to PC. That's something that I've sort of seen mentioned once or twice out in the internets as well. What do you think?
Interesting. I don't care too much.
Neither do I. I know some Sony fanboys were pretty upset if this was to happen. Yeah, you and I, we're users of multiple platforms, so we're pretty agnostic when it comes to this. Like, I'll play a game on whatever console or platform I have to play it. I don't care if it's an exclusive or otherwise. Like, just give me good games to play. That's all I'm about.
Yeah, I always find it hard to understand. I understand why there are exclusives, but like from a company's perspective, but why the fans get so up in arms about exclusives is always something that's a bit to me. Yeah, I really don't mind this.
The way I see it, it's almost like supporting a sports team. You know, like your team, fair. You want to have them the best. You want them to have the best players. You want them to be leading the division. So when Sony has an all-star player like Death Stranding on it, they can be like, yeah, suck at Microsoft. But now that they could be potentially playing on for PC. Separate teams, I don't know.
I would, yeah. I'm actually wondering how excited I am for this game right now. Anyway.
It's still just confusing the absolute shit out of me. Like with every new announcement, I think I seem to understand less about the game. Like, and that's part of Kojima's unique charm and vision with his video games. But I'll play it when it comes out later this year. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be Game of the Year. I don't know either.
I do think it'll be some kind of cultural phenomenon, though. There'll be memes galore about it for sure.
I feel like it's almost going to be not tragic, just total shitness standpoint of like, it's going to be like the video games version of The Room. It's just this divisive topic that just gets quoted and referenced for years, and then it'll be made in a parody film with James Franco playing Hideo. Actually, no, it'll be Scarlett Johansson that have to play Hideo Kojima because that's sort of her sort of wheelhouse is the whitewashing situation. So Scarlett's going to play Hideo in the remake of the development of Death Stranding out in 2027. You've heard it here first.
Crazy old Kojima. All right.
But you know what? You guys have indirectly touched butts, and no one can ever take that away from you.
No, that's right. I forgot about that. We have, and I'm so proud. I destroyed that toilet before he sat on it as well.
Yeah. You were in there making Breach Babies before Breach Babies even existed.
I was the inspiration for some of the content you're about to experience in Death Stranding.
You left this big old brown shark in there that resembled the Breach Baby, and he's like, I've got it. And he runs out there, jots it in his notepad.
There's a bathroom scene where a pleb worker comes out of a stall, hungover, leaning over, trying to work out which way is up, walks past your, what's his name? The fucking bikey guy who's in it. Norman
Reedus.
Norman Reedus, that's it. Yeah, walks by Norman Reedus. In much the same way I once hungover walked by Hideo Kojima. I walked by him. Oh god, that was good.
And it goes down in history.
It will.
So that has been the news, and this has been the Hungry Gamers Podcast, episode 163. Dreamo, is there anything you want to say before we close this bad boy down for another week?
No, but just as always, a heartfelt thank you for listening.
100%. And next week on episode 164, the hosting chairs will be filled by myself, Miss Ali Hart, and Benny McJanet. Dreamo is taking a sabbatical next week. He's got many things to do, so I'll see him the week after, all things going well. Touch wood. Yes, 8-Bit Nation, thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting. And until next time, much love.
Stay hungry.
You've been listening to The Hungry Gamers, one of many gaming and geek culture related podcasts from the 8-Bit Collective over on 8bit.net. Check out more episodes on your podcast service of choice. And while you're there, please be sure to rate and subscribe. Until next time, boys and girls, stay hungry.